Hi, it's Michael Pilarski with another Friends of the Trees Botanicals video. It's still January 20th, 2022. And today we're going to do a video on wild lettuce, harvesting and managing wild lettuce in the garden setting. So this is my cultivated garden. We have probably 100 species in here. It's very dense. This is black cohosh here, a row of black cohosh. But this is a weed. It's a non-native invasive weed, and we let some of them grow in the garden deliberately because every year we sell some of this. And so we let a few plants go to seed every year. Oh, maybe a dozen or 20 plants in the garden go to seed, and the seeds float around and plant next year's crop. And so these just came up here on their own, volunteers, and we said, oh, there's a decent spot. We'll let these grow for now until it's time to harvest. And so now I'm going to cut it down, Lactuca cereola. Notice the white sap, a lot of white sap in this Lactuca, wild lettuce related to the lettuce that we eat. And it's a mild sedative painkiller, and so it's safe. It's gentle and safe enough that you can use it for children. So now that I've got this, the nice juicy top parts harvested, now I'm going to pull it up, knock the dirt off of it, and that'll just go in a, see, oh, there's a nice worm. I thought we'd see some worms in here. Worms love. Okay, now I'm going to have what I'm doing at this point is, oh, actually I'm pulling on the cohosh here. Better be careful, that's the crop. Well, no, that's a dandelion, so we can, so there's a side harvest, a little bit of dandelion root. Okay, so we let this grow for the first part of the season until we get this nice growth. Now we're going to pick it and sell it, but now I want to get it out of the system. I want this cohosh to have the canopy capture the sunlight. So I let this end grow just long enough to capture my yield. And now I get to pull it out, and any other weeds that happen to be in here. And then what I have left here is the black cohosh. But there just happens to also be this is a volunteer elecampane, and really it's right next to the black cohosh. Kind of a pain, but you know what, I'm just going to let it grow. Here's some borage coming up in the understory, and there's actually some skullcap here in the understory. See, this is a skullcap patch here. So I have skullcap and black cohosh growing from in the same airspace. I'm going to pull these couple of the wild lettuce in here. See, I'm trying to get rid of all this wild lettuce so it doesn't compete with the crop anymore. So now the system, and here's a borage coming out. I'll let that grow. It comes out to the side. I'll harvest that periodically. Here's a weed, so I can reach in and get that weed. So my goal is that I have multiple crops in the same place a lot of times. Here, this is, there's dandelion over here. There's a horehound. But the cohosh is our dominant plant here. Over here we got elecampane. Borage is a volunteer. So you can see, we really like to have the ground, where we do have ground, we like to have it mulched. So you could call this the wild lettuce a wild crafted catch crop. It's in the early part of the seasonal harvest, so we can call it a catch crop. It's when you catch a crop that otherwise you would miss. It's getting an extra crop. So catch cropping. Here's another elecampane, but it's off to the side, so we can let that get big and then harvest it later. Here's a couple more of the wild lettuce, so I got to cut those tops off and then get in there and pull the bottom. So this is harvest as well as management is what we're doing at the moment. here with this. We're weeding, but we're making money on the weeds. I like to make money on the weeds. We manage dandelion, wild lettuce, shepherd's purse, teasel, and borage. So we have 5 or 6. Oh, and sheep sorrel, and so we have a number of weeds that we deliberately work with in the system. But they don't tell us what to do. We tell them what to do, which is unusual. Most farmers are busy. A lot of gardeners are they're behind on the weeds. The weeds boss them around and take over country and elbow things out of the way. Well, we do have some weeds, a little weed pressure, but we're about to catch up on it. So we really like to keep up on our weeding in these intensive systems here. That's just one way of doing it. You can go with a weedy system, but we want almost all of the sunlight, the fertility, and the moisture to go into crops instead of into weeds. But weeds can be useful if you have compacted ground or areas that you can't take care of. It's sort of like a green manure crop, I kind of consider it. It's better a weed than nothing, but anyway, that's just our philosophy here. So there's wild lettuce, Lactuca cereola, really closely related to lettuce. And so if you eat enough lettuce, folks, you might fall asleep. Have a beer or two with it at the same time. Boom, lettuce and beer is a good recipe for sleep. Okay, another thing you can do with the wild lettuce, you can make tea, you can make tincture, or as Kitty DeLong does, she dries it, grinds it up, and then shoves it in double-aught caps and takes the capsules of the powdered or ground up herb, as another way of getting doses. Okay, all right, folks, don't be careful on your Lactuca. It's probably really hard to overdose. But it's if you need a little sedative painkiller in your life, or maybe one of the kids does a little bit, try it out. Have a good day.